Welcome to the Dad Nation podcast, the place where high-performing men are empowered to reclaim their home, their health, and their happiness while enhancing their career success. You see, in a world full of noise, burnout, and mediocrity, we believe what's missing is courageous and compassionate leadership in the home, because when the dad gets better, the whole family wins. You see, this isn't just a podcast. It's a movement for men who refuse to settle for less in their families, in their focus, and their future. We are curse breakers and we are legacy makers. I am your host, Mitchell Osmond, and I'm honored that you've chosen to invest your most valuable asset, which is your time, with me today. Now let's get into it. Welcome to the Dad Nation podcast, and if you are the kind of guy who's looking for fitness advice on nutrition, exercise, anything, how to balance it all as a husband, as a father, sustainable solutions, you are going to love this episode. And it's been a minute. And when I say a minute, it's probably been like over a year that we've done an episode around this. And so I can't wait to get into this conversation. I have a guest with me today. His name is Philip Pape. He's a nutrition coach. He's also host of the Wits Weights podcast, which has over 500 episodes, over 1 million downloads. That's incredible. And he's the creator of the Eat More, Lift Heavy and the Fitness Lab Coach app. He's a former software engineer, makes sense, but he applies a systems thinking to help people build muscle, lose fat, and stop following fitness advice that doesn't work. Come on. I have seen a lot of fitness advice that does not work. He lives in Connecticut with his wife and 2 daughters. Philip, thank you so much for joining us on the show today, brother.
Thank you, Mitchell, for having me. I'm stoked to get into it.
Yeah, man. It's going to be good. So, number one, let's just get this out on the table first. Before we jump into this conversation with Phil, my voice is absolutely destroyed. I've done a lot of singing over the past few days, and my apologies if my voice is groveling and doesn't translate well. But hey, I'm not going to be doing all the talking today. It's going to be Phil. So the pressure's on him.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I should bust out my saxophone. Turn into a music podcast.
Do you play music too?
I do. Yeah, jazz mostly.
Jazz. Yeah. Is it tenor sax, alto, bari?
Alto.
Oh, the best.
The best. That sweet sound, right?
That's awesome. Okay, well, let's jump into fitness because this isn't a podcast about music. Okay, well, talk to me, bro. Before we jump into some of the questions I want to ask you, so from software engineer to like fitness guru, how did that happen? How did that transition happen?
Man, I get that question all the time. It happened slowly over time because of my own personal frustrations that I'm sure a lot of dads listening can relate to. So I'm 45 now, and I would say throughout my 20s and 30s, I had no clue what to do in the gym. I had no clue how to eat. I was also pretty resilient to things as we are when we're younger. So even when I did things poorly, like CrossFit for 8 years, and then the injuries didn't show up till 10 years later. So I loved learning about these things, but it was always a hobby. And then, believe it or not, around the pandemic, when a lot of people went south with their fitness, is when I started to dive into the podcasts and videos and the books about strength training and evidence-based nutrition. And so up to that point, my only experience was lots of diets, being skinny fat, not happy with my body, dad bod. I never was into athletics. I was never into lifting. And I went through about a 1.5 year period in 2020 to 2021 of actually building muscle, actually losing fat, of actually revealing some things that I never thought were possible due to genetics and family history. And then I wanted to share it with the world. So that led to the podcast. So believe it or not, the podcast came first, which I know is kind of unusual in this industry. Usually the podcast is a way to promote your business or to talk about things tied to your business. It came first. And I shared a lot about what I had learned, the counterintuitive things that the fitness industry gets wrong. What are the fixes? And one of my first guests, she was actually a former coworker who's a power lifter here in Connecticut. And her nutrition contract was expiring. And she's like, I want you to be my coach. I'm like, I'm not a coach. I don't have a certification. I don't know what to do. She's like, yeah, but you explain things really well. And I get it. Like just listening to you on the way over to interview on your show, like I all of a sudden get things that I didn't get before about why my current coach tells me to do this or that. So that actually spurred me, I just took action and I figured out how to get certified, how to start building my business and become a coach. And that's where we are today. That's like the short version of the story.
I love it. I love it. I'm a huge fan of people who start something because they were getting it all wrong, and that's some of the most interesting people in my life, and the people I've had on the show are people like that, who have really grinded it out and figured out, a way to maybe communicate concepts that aren't super clear or concrete to the average person. And I'll never forget one of my favorite episodes on our show. My podcast here was with a couple who had a marriage podcast as well, and they started this because they got into a fight, and she punched him in the face and gave him a black eye, and that was like their rock bottom turning point. And it's like just the best. And they're just, anyways. So like, and I was the same way when I didn't punch my wife, but but when I started the podcast,
let's talk about our wife punching right now.
When I started the podcast, it was out of being overweight in a terrible marriage, being in debt and lost, and spent years finding myself, rebuilding my body, restoring my marriage, and it came, as the old saying, as a phoenix rising from the ashes, But there were a lot of ashes for sure, and so I appreciate you sharing your story, man. And it's good to know that you're just a normal dude, and that you weren't always built like this, and just been born with this divine wisdom on fitness and nutrition.
Yeah, man. No, and I'm just getting started. Like I'm just, I always say I like to get a year younger for every year of age.
Right.
Just getting started.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit about discipline and how it gets, like, how our personalities kind of get in the way sometimes, because there's a lot of guys listening to this show that you might classify as like a type A, assertive, very disciplined, career-driven, high-performing men. These are the guys who go after it. They grind it out, But what is it about that kind of guy? What is it about that mentality that makes guys so successful at work, but is kind of backfiring when it comes to their fitness and nutrition? Because I see this all the time. But in your opinion, what do you think causes that?
You mentioned you haven't covered fitness in like a year, but what's interesting is the stuff you do cover about psychology and taking action and building habits is the thing that I think holds us up when it comes to the type A personality, which is definitely me. Like I said, when I started my podcast, I just did it, and damn the consequences, didn't have a plan, go all in. Sometimes it pays off, right? We are risk takers. So I think a recent episode of yours was like the mirror in the mountain. I think it's a good one people should check out, because assuming you've looked in the mirror and decided, I want to make that change, the type A person, and I know because I'm one of them, is going to try to change everything at once. They're going to try to take those 10 steps up the mountain, right, and lose oxygen and then die before they get to the top. But even beyond that, even when you're at base camp, like if you don't even know the path up, you're not going to take the right first or second or third step to begin with. So a lot of the guys I deal with, they're entrepreneurs or lawyers or engineers, and they want to overhaul everything. They want to have a 10-point plan. They want to have their KPIs measured out and planned out for the next 6 months. And then Monday, I'm going to start with a new diet. And by the way, carnivore is still super popular with a lot of my clients, and I try to heal them of that. We can get into that. They do the new workout plan. They try the supplements, all at the same time. And they never build that system. And there's a couple things about the psychology you talk about that are important here. The first is that it takes 45 days for one single habit to stick. Like one single change of behavior due to the brain's need for safety and survival. It's not 21 days, it's 41, because there are a couple sticking points along the way that psychology research has shown trip us up, and then the brain goes right back to what it was doing. So if you're trying to do more than one or more than 5 things, you are guaranteed to fail within about 3 to 6 weeks on all of it. And when we combine that with the research on rigid dieting approaches, where 95% of people always regain weight, it's because of this all or nothing approach, this go all at it approach. Now, there are people who are not type A. They just get overwhelmed by the information. They get overwhelmed. They don't even know where to start. I'm talking to the person that goes ahead and starts, but then they fall on their face because they're trying to do too much. So that's the premise.
Yeah. I get why that happens, because we all want the fast results. and guys like us are drawn to the crazy transformations. I lost 60 pounds, or I packed on 20 pounds of muscle, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, I want that. Well, what did he do to get that? Oh, he trained 7 days a week for 367 days a year. Sweet, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go on carnivore. I'm going to do 75 hard. I'm going to fast all at the same time.
Yep.
And it's
Steps, like CrossFit, everything. Yep.
Yeah. And that's, I don't know if I said this. I was, if you're listening, I was a guest on Philip's show as well. And I don't know if we talked about this here or not, but I think the biggest mistake, and I think this is kind of what you're saying, is we set goals that are way too high. And I'll often say this. I'm like, hey, if you're not meeting your fitness goals, lower them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
set the bar really, really low. So it's
serious.
Achievable. Yeah.
And it's not motivational. It's not, it sometimes gets me in trouble because like, you can't say that. Like, absolutely I can. Because if you made a goal to train 6 days a week, from 0 days a week, let's start with like 3, if you made a goal to go to like, 1,900 calories a day, but your body's used to consuming 3,500, well, maybe let's not do that. Right. And slow, sustainable, consistent changes over time. I mean, we know this, consistency wins. Consistency over intensity every single time. So I love that. And I think we also get bored, right? It's like, well, you're going to tell me to do this slow process. It's not exciting. It's not flashy. Carnivore is flashy. 75 hard is flashy. CrossFit's flashy, whatever, right? I can post about it, yada, yada, yada. I see people posting about it. It's exciting, right? And especially the masculine, right? We're just like, yeah, so I get it. And if you're listening to this and you are that kind of guy, well, you're listening to 2 men who have recovered from that mentality. So this is why we're speaking about it. So like we know so much about it, because we are that man. So we get it.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I think that discipline is an advantage when you do narrow the scope. Like when you narrow the scope to just one thing, and then I throw at you some data points to measure along the way and have some fun graphs and dashboards to go along with it. We love that stuff. It's like, okay, now we can see the change in the mirror, the physical and metaphorical mirror.
Yes. Yeah. And thanks for that shout out to the mirror and the mountain, man.
Yeah, man. No, for sure.
When I was writing the script for that, I was like, dang, this is good. I really hope this hits home with people, but glad you enjoyed it. Okay. So you say most guys are doing things in the wrong order, right? They try to lose fat first, and then they try to build muscle. They cut, and then they bulk. Now, tell me a little bit about that. Why is that a problem? And what's a more effective approach to get rid of the dad bod or that extra belly fat? Because I hear the same thing too. I have my own thoughts, but I love hearing from other guys. Like, tell me, why do you think that's the wrong approach?
I want you to think of Michelangelo, the famous artist, right? Imagine he has a pebble and you're like, I want you to turn this pebble into the David. You can't do it. You can't sculpt a pebble, but you can sculpt a slab of marble, right? Like that's one way to think about it, in that if you look at the GLP-1s today, the weight loss drugs, we see the extreme of what happens when you focus on weight loss. You're not happy at the end of it. You're not getting what you want anyway. Like if your goal is to have a 6-pack or to look better, feel better, perform better, and even more so to like show up at home and have testosterone and like have energy and not have that, wake up every day at 3 a.m., that is where building strength and muscle is the most powerful thing I've ever discovered personally and with clients. And I have 2 types of clients I work with when it comes to men. One who have been lifting for a long time, and they're in a great position now for fat loss to be pretty darn easy when they understand the way to do it. And they, they can lose fat in 6 weeks, drop 20 pounds with me because we're doing it in a structured way, and they have all this capacity built up. And then I have the men who haven't trained or haven't been doing it consistently. And for them, unless they have a lot of weight to lose, we're talking like 200 or 300 pounds to lose, I'm going to put them on one of 2 paths. Either don't lose weight or actually gain a little bit of weight, because then it puts you in a position of avoiding the hormonal issues, the energy issues and all that, and to build maximum strength and muscle. And we can get into why that's important. But most people are doing it the wrong way. They cut weight, they're skinny fat, then they just gain fat back and they never gain muscle. And it's just over and over and over again, this vicious cycle. So yeah, that's where I'm going with that.
Well, yeah, and so unpack it a little bit, man. I mean,
Sure.
why is it more advantageous to have a larger
Mhm.
amount of lean muscle mass on your body? Why would you do that first? Like, what's the advantages of it?
For sure, man. So think of muscle as an endocrine organ, right? Endocrine as in hormone, as in it's connected to everything in your body. Having more muscle is not only does it increase your metabolic tissue, in other words, you can burn more calories, it improves how your body partitions calories you eat. So, for example, when you have more muscle or you're training to add more muscle, every pound of food you eat, more of that's going to go toward muscle, right?
Mm.
It's kind of like the opposite of when you drink alcohol. I don't know if your listeners ever heard that when you drink alcohol, muscle building shuts off completely while your body metabolizes the alcohol. That's like the opposite. All you do is gain fat. So most people are walking around in between. They're not building muscle. They're eating eating poorly. And a lot of what they eat goes toward fat. So just having muscle and building muscle causes you to have more muscle. Furthermore, from a physiology standpoint, there is a litany of things that it helps with. It helps with appetite, so you can eat more food and not get hungry as often. It helps with insulin sensitivity, which means less visceral fat storage, the beer gut that we all get starting in our 40s and 50s. But it also means we can handle our carbs, so we can eat carbs. So you don't have to do carnivore. Believe it or not, you can eat carbs. It handles inflammation. So when you train and when you have muscle, it releases cytokines in the body, or myokines, I apologize, that reduce inflammation. So there's like a list that goes on and on of what happens inside. Outside, having more muscle makes you stronger, more functional, bigger posture. You definitely walk into a room feeling bigger and like the biggest guy in the room sometimes, more confident. I mean, what that's done for me in my career, let alone all the guys I work with, for testosterone and power and manhood is incredible.
It's true. I mean, and here's this is interesting. I was talking to somebody about this a little while ago, a client of mine. If you have if you have a larger amount of muscle mass on your body, you don't even have to be that shredded. There is an inherent respect that people have for you. I think on an instinctual, I was talking to my wife about this a little while ago too, because I think inherently we all know how hard it is to do that. And so we automatically look at somebody with a muscular sort of structure, especially when they're lean, and we know that this person is a person of dedication, that they are dependable, that they follow through, because this person didn't look this way by having no willpower. This person didn't look this way by eating cheeseburgers and donuts, every second evening. This person clearly must be a person who's very disciplined and has a great work ethic, right? Because you don't get to look like that without those things. And I think that's to go along with what you were just talking about, this idea of when you walk into a room. Yeah, of course you're going to be stronger. You're going to have more longevity. Health span will increase, mobility, all those different things. It's great. But even on a practical level, if you're in a demanding job or a high pressure workplace, or maybe optics do matter, or some of that stuff, you walk into a boardroom, your body itself sends a message. And I think that's important versus a guy who walks in who's overweight, or whatever the case is, right? We can't help it. We all make snap judgments, but use that to your advantage, right? Would you agree with that, Philip?
I agree with that, and I see younger generations embracing this more in like the corporate world. You see this dichotomy between it was okay to be kind of this slovenly, big overweight guy who orders people around, and you have a nice car. Even that is kind of less acceptable now. Caring for your health is its own sign of responsibility, and it's a sign, like you said, of doing hard things. And I think the act of going through that process builds resilience as well. That leads to improved mental health that can't be overrated.
Totally. Yeah. There's another conversation I was having with a different client a couple of days ago, and because all of my clients get their own training plans, even though we don't even talk a lot about fit. We do talk a bit about fitness, but a lot of my coaching is based around holistic health, but marriage health, fatherhood, all that stuff. And so he had said, well, why should I train in the morning, right? Why should I do that? And so I was explaining to him, like, everything is a test. And I don't want to sound like super intense and alpha here, but or Jocko style, but for real, like, in my opinion, in my experience, that alarm clock is the first test. What are you going to say when that goes off? Are you going to say, yes, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this hard thing? Or are you going to say, no, I'm going to turn off the alarm. I'm going to say no to the commitment that I made. Now, why is that important? Because psychologically, I'm huge on neuroscience and the subconscious mind and all that stuff. But psychologically, what happens is when you say no and you break a promise first thing in the morning, what does that do for the rest of the day? Well, your subconscious mind sends a signal and says, yeah, it's okay, man. It's okay to break another promise. Just take a break. Just do your thing. Versus saying, no, I will follow through with the commitments that I made because that's who I am and that's what I do. Right? I don't break promises to other people or to myself. And so what happens is when you say yes to that workout, when you say yes to doing that hard thing, it's like you set yourself up psychologically to follow through with every other promise you made. Because the first thing you did was say yes, but also you said yes to the hardest thing you're going to do that whole day. So in my opinion, it's like there is no better way to set up the rest of your day for success. It's like you got to take a sales call or lead this board meeting. That does not seem as difficult after you've gotten a PR in your squat at 6 a.m., right? You know what I'm saying? Would you
No,
agree with that, Philip?
I totally agree. I used to be more agnostic about like schedule and things because according to the science, quote unquote, right, whenever you train, you get used to that slot of your day and you can be just as successful with your training. But what we're talking about is your whole life and your whole day and your whole week and how it all interconnects. And when we think of stress and energy and all of that, training in the morning does have a massive advantage, let alone just the consistency and discipline aspect of it. So yes, I have a preference. And if people can move their schedules around to do it in the day, I highly encourage it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the neurochemicals that are released when we exercise, serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I love it. I love it. We're on the same page. Talk to me a little bit about this idea. I mean, you talk about this muscle first or like strength first kind of training, right? So what does that look like week to week? Because a lot of these guys listening, we're not 19 years old, single, with no families, no mortgages. It's like we got busy lives. For the dad, with limited time, maybe 3 to 5 hours total across the week to train. What does that look like?
Yeah, I think that perfectly fits with a strength-focused approach, especially if you're a beginner. So if you're talking to the guy who doesn't currently train and he's using that as an excuse, because Mitchell, we know this is kind of an excuse for people. You're only talking 3 to 5 hours, and we just said how important it is. And we also know that there's lots of other time you're probably spending on lower priority things. But even independent of that, I like efficiency as much as the next guy. And if you look at a program like Starting Strength, for example, Mark Ripito or anything like it, where you're doing primarily big, heavy compound lifts, and you're doing full body workouts, at least when you start, 3 days a week, 45 minutes to an hour is super, super effective to get enough volume and intensity. And by intensity, I mean weight on the bar, to progress over time and to get stronger. And then strength is muscle, muscle is strength. So this is another big problem in the fitness industry is there's so much talk about bodybuilding and physique development and hypertrophy when most guys aren't even training correctly to begin with. And they're so hyper-focused on that and trying to get big muscles. And then they're wondering why they don't have them. And I'm like, you've got to get a bigger squat. You've got to be able to press more. You've got to be able to pull more. And these are functional movements that are part of being a human and our human movement patterns. And they also help with your joint health and all the other things that we are concerned about at this age. Once you do that and you get to some baseline level of strength, now you can go for a breadth of strength and a peak of strength across, specific muscle groups and the show muscles. And you can work on your abs. You can do all that, but you're going to have a much better position from that point for things like fat loss or athleticism and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. Couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. I was thinking, I just did a calculation while you were talking. We say 3 to 5 hours. So if you get the average of that 4 hours, 4 hours a week, you divide that by 7 days, that's like 34, 35 minutes a day. And it's like, I don't care who you are. I mean, I've had clients who run 3 businesses, have 5 kids, and they're still training 3 times a week, right? But 35 minutes a day, I mean, how many people have spent more than 35 minutes watching a game? Mm-hmm. Scrolling Facebook, Instagram, whatever, or watching Netflix, Hulu, Crave, whatever your poison is. I mean, we can find it. I think we're past the the point of arguing about time, right? It's just a matter of values. So I love that, dude. And this next question is going to be about eating, because this is another thing that I see. A lot of people undereat. They kind of punish themselves, and then they underfuel themselves, and then their performance suffers in the gym, and they're lethargic and tired, and it's just like, dude, you got to eat more. And they're like, I can't eat more. I'm trying to lose weight, or whatever. I'm like, oh my God. So tell me a little bit about this, like, because you say that men are often under eating, right? So can you explain how that happens and why that happens? Hey, brother, let me ask you something. And I want you to really think about this. Are you winning at work, but quietly kind of losing ground at home? Maybe you're the guy people rely on. You stay calm in meetings. You carry that pressure all day, and you kind of wear that like a badge of honor. But maybe when you walk through the front door at home, your wife feels distant. Conversations feel shorter. And instead of being excited to come home, maybe work feels easier. Nothing is broken, but something is slowly drifting. And if you're telling yourself right now, I'm going to fix this when things slow down, or I'm going to fix this when things get easier, if you're honest with yourself, you already know they won't slow down. They won't get easier. Well, the high-performance husband is for men who are done coasting. It's for men who want to win at home like they win at work. You see, this isn't therapy. It's not about fixing your wife. It's not for men who want quick hacks. It's for men who want to be calm under pressure, strong in their body, clear in their thinking, and to become the man that your wife and kids look up to with pride. So if you're listening to this and you know that what got you here won't get you where you want to go, I want you to go to dadnationco.com/accelerator, or click the link in the show notes below, and then you can apply to join this accelerator and join myself and many other like-minded men who are leveling up in their home, in their health, and their happiness. They're winning all year long. It's a 12-month mentorship. It's going to change your life. All right, now let's jump back into the episode. Can you explain how that happens and why that happens?
There's a concept called energy flux. I don't know if you've heard of it. I first learned about it from Brandon DeCruz. He's a physique guy out there. He's really good, really smart guy, knows every study off the top of his head. And it's the idea that you can eat more and move more, right? That the more you eat, if you're moving the right way, meaning you're lifting for muscle, partitioning those nutrients the right way, and you're moving regularly. That means walking or getting up and not just sitting on your butt all day. Even if you do have a desk job, you can do this. Your body is going to ramp up your expenditure, your metabolic rate, so that you can eat more. And it's kind of a complementary or symbiotic relationship, which is really awesome. A lot of guys are afraid of gaining weight. That's why they don't eat more, because they're trying to lose fat. But if I told you could actually eat more volume of food, you could move the right way and actually eat 300 or 400 or 500 more calories and lose weight, would you want that equation would you want that? Of course you would, right? You have your cake and eat it too. Most guys listening are not training consistently. They're not moving very much. And so most of what they eat, as per my comment earlier, is going toward fat storage. So I want you to eat more protein. I want you to eat more high volume foods that fill you up, more whole nutritious foods, but do it in the context of lifting and moving so you can take advantage of that energy flux. Mm-hmm. And then what ultimately happens is you can often sit at your maintenance calories and see those maintenance calories slowly drift up, potentially hundreds of calories if you were very underfed, and you're not going to gain weight. Your body's just going to upregulate everything else. So think about it like a car, right? We don't just put gas in a car. We also give it oil and transmission fluid, and there's other things, right? So if you only put gas in a car and you never got an oil change, it'd be suboptimally function suboptimally. It'd eventually break down, even though it has enough quote unquote energy to run. So with our bodies, we can be eating enough energy to maintain our weight, but our hormones are downregulated, namely testosterone, and our thyroid is downregulated. We don't have the energy, all the things you just mentioned, the lethargy, the mood, you then are irritable to your wife and kids, whatever. Simply eating more to get to your normal recovered maintenance is a game changer. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's so true. I did a comparison a little while ago with like a Big Mac and I think a plate of like chicken and rice and some asparagus. And basically the question was like, they're both the same calories, one burger or in a huge plate of rice, asparagus, and chicken with some, whatever barbecue sauce or whatever. But like what's going to be more filling? What's going to fuel your body with the most nutrients it needs? And in which of these is actually going to leave you probably feeling more hungry because of the high sodium, not going to give you what your body needs. It's going to make you want to drink soda or whatever, and that's the, I think, situation so many guys fall into is like they'll eat the wrong food. And it's like, yeah, could you survive on Mars bars? Maybe, or could you be on a diet and of Mars bars and not gain weight? Yeah, probably, but you're not going to be happy. You're going to be undernutritioned and you're going to be starving all the time. But it's like you take that direct comparison of those two meals, and it's like the chicken, the carbs, the vegetables is going to give you fiber, it's going to give you protein, it's going to give you healthy fats, it's going to give you carbs and sustainable energy. You're going to feel satiated. You're going to have the proper amount of protein to build that muscle. So it's like, which are you going to choose, right? And it makes a whole lot of sense to choose the plate, right?
Yeah, I heard it put before. How much you eat affects how much you weigh. What you eat affects how you look and feel, right? So how much you eat affects, and that's true, right? Energy balance, you can't argue that, despite people trying to do that all the time. We know this from the GLP-1 drugs that it does come down to the calories. But how you look and feel, meaning your body composition, your muscle to fat ratio, your having malnutrition, right? Having enough nutrients to do all the things. That's how you look and feel. And that's where what you're talking about, having enough fruits and vegetables and fiber, having enough protein, a good balance of fats and carbs, all to fuel your needs. So, yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about protein, because we have a rule in our house. A lot of people will say finish your veggies first. For me, it's like finish your protein first. I don't care. Leave the veggies, leave the carbs. I don't care. Just finish that freaking protein. And I have thoughts as to why, but from the expert, why is protein so important? Why is it such an important macronutrient?
First of all, my kids love vegetables because their parents love vegetables. And I do the same thing. I'm like, I want you to finish that pork right there or that chicken before you finish and it would look weird to other people. Man, protein is such a huge unlock for a variety of reasons. So the first is, I think, the obvious most people think about, which is to build and repair muscle tissue. And you need a lot more than you think, right? You need like a 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of protein every day to properly support lifting weights and actually building the muscle. Because if you don't, you're just not going to do it as efficiently. But there's a few other things. One is satiety. We just talked about eating filling things. Well, everybody thinks of fiber and vegetables as helping with satiety, but protein is the highest satiety macro. So it definitely, if you can go from like 70 grams a day to 150 grams a day, what I've seen time and again is without changing anything else, you naturally eat fewer calories and you feel more full. Again, have your cake and eat it too, even though we're not talking cake. The other thing is the higher thermic effect of food, which is a small extra lever where every extra gram of protein burns like 20 to 30% of its own weight in calories, or its own 20, 30 to 30% of its calories, whereas carbs are like 10% and fats close to 0. So if you just switch the balance to much more protein, you're actually going to burn more calories just from digestion. So those are 3 super important reasons I like protein.
Yeah, and let me unnerdify what he just said.
Yeah, I talk like a nerd.
No, but
man.
I think it's really. Yes, I think you're right. The protein, the satiety factor is huge. It makes you feel full longer. Yes, it's awesome. And then the building the muscle, it's the main thing that's going to help build the muscle that you're looking for. And it's in everything. I mean, even your hair and your nails. You want to have thick, full hair. You want to have strong nails. If you're listening to this and you're a woman, eat more protein, right? Like it's literally in everything. But the thermic effect of food is huge. And I think, it's a huge concept. And a lot of people don't realize this. Like, so what he's saying is, for example, if you eat 100 calories of like pure protein, for example, the thermic effects, it basically explains how much energy your body uses to process those calories. And so if you eat protein, out of every 100 calories, you only net 70 calories because they burn 20 your body uses 20 to 30 calories to process that 100 calories. But if you're looking at fats, it's dismal. It's barely anything. And then carbs, what did you say? It was like 10% or 5%?
Yeah, 5 to 10. Yep.
Yeah. So for every 100 calories of carbs, you're netting 90, or 95 calories. And so from a strategic standpoint, like the more calories you consume of protein, the less you will store in fat, say, for example, because of the fact that your body has to work harder and burn more energy to process that protein. I think that's a brilliant thing. I'll usually tell guys too, it's like, honestly, exactly like you said, a gram of protein per pound of body weight. You weigh 180 pounds, eat 180 grams. You weigh 200 pounds, eat 200 grams, And so for the average looking dude, eat 40 grams per serving and eat 4 meals, right? 4, 8, 12, 160. Like, it's pretty simple. But the thing is if you're not doing that often, it can sound like a lot. Like, you're like, oh, how am I going to eat that much protein? Or how am I going to think of how to eat that much? But once you get used to it, like now I'm at a place where I have a hard time getting eating
less,
less,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm like, oh man, I overshot my protein again. Like, I was only supposed to eat,
which is cool, man. I mean, like, that's the one macro you can easily overshoot.
Exactly, right? Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I could never do that. Well, that's BS, because once you get used to this, it's actually hard to keep it under, but it really does get to that point. So
let's take a real quick tangent on that, because it's related to protein. But when we talk about not getting enough and we make it just about the math, in my experience, 50% roughly of people say they know exactly what to do with protein and then they don't do it, right?
Yeah.
And this is just a general indictment on all of this stuff, of these habits of information versus action. What do you do about it? And this is where the intention and the planning and structure are super, super important. So like, if you're not anywhere close to that now, I wouldn't even try to change your protein. I would actually track your protein. Like, I think guys listening have no clue. Like, they have no clue what they're eating. They think they do, but until you put it in an app real quick for like 3 days and see, like, do that first. Now, if you know for a fact that it's under, then focus on one meal. And I'm telling you, it's breakfast. Like, I know you're getting too little protein at breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
I know it.
Yeah.
It's because people don't think of breakfast as like, it's not a lunch or dinner meal where you have meat, for most of us who are omnivores. So where do you get it? Well, you get it from oatmeal, some eggs. It's like you're trying to scrounge little bits of protein to put it together. And you need to go all out and figure out what that damn breakfast looks like for you to get those 40 grams of protein.
It's huge. Because you can think about it, right? Like, a lot of the guys like grab a coffee and maybe like a muffin or something on the way to work, and then wonder why they're craving the donuts in the office before lunch. It's like, well, remember, protein is the most satiating macronutrient. That's going to make you feel full. And if you didn't have much protein, that's why your body's looking for energy, right? Or even like being in a sleep deficit. Right? It's like you didn't get enough sleep. Well, your body doesn't care if it gets energy from carbohydrates or sleep or whatever. It's just saying, hey, I need energy. That's why when you look at a glass case of donuts, you're like, right? Because your body's like, energy, give that to me, right? But like this idea of breakfast, dude, so huge. Even just saying like, hey, I'm going to get 30, 40 grams at breakfast, and that's all I'm going to worry about. Well, I'll tell you what, when you're driving to work, you're going to be less tempted to stop and get that, frappuccino or hit those donuts in the office, because you're going to feel full, right? Like, that's the easiest way to move the needle, is like, get a big breakfast in you.
It's funny because that's the same thing we just said about training. It's like it unlocks everything else. And there is research that compares bigger breakfast protein to bigger dinner protein that shows you eat fewer calories throughout the day and you have a better hunger profile throughout the day because you ate more at breakfast. And there's 2 real quick hacks for folks who are just like stressed out of their mind. They don't have time. One is, of course, protein shakes. Like, don't discount it. They're fine. Like, get whey protein, get giant tubs of whey protein, have them ready to go. But the other is leftovers from dinner for breakfast.
Yes.
Like, if you're already making dinner, just make more, put that in your breakfast. It's weird for Americans to like have their leftover fish for breakfast or whatever, but do it. Then you'll get your protein.
Yes. Dude, like, how have we not met until recently? I like talk about that all the time, bro. Leftovers for breakfast. It's the easiest hack. You got a bunch of chicken in the fridge, warm it up or chop it up. Put in some scrambled eggs with some, a little bit of sweet potato hash or whatever. It's like, boom. It's awesome. Yeah, there was something else I wanted to say too. I totally forgot. I'm geeking out. I think it's so critical. So, anyways, I want to move on. Protein's huge. I think we've established that. So it's really good. The other thing will come back to me, I'm sure. So, okay, a guy. Oh, I remember what it was. Tracking your calories, dude. Not only to understand how little protein you're eating, but how many calories you're eating. I'll never forget, bro. I will never forget the first time I tracked how many calories I was consuming in peanut butter. Peanut butter. Oh my, I love peanut butter. It's like 1 tablespoon. It's like 120 calories or something like that. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's like 190. Yeah. It's almost 200 calories for one tablespoon. Yeah. It's crazy.
Because I was training when I got into this. I was training, but I put like a couple tablespoons of peanut butter in my shake, and I was like, oh, this is so good, and then it's healthy. Right? It's healthy fats.
Yeah.
And my wife did a degree in kinesiology. She's always just been really smart with the stuff, consistent. She's like, hey, babe, have you ever tracked the calories in that protein shake? I'm like, that's good. And then when I did, it was like 700 calories or something. What am I doing? Anyways, so yeah, track your calories. It's important.
I'm a tracking fiend, not just we can get into the things I track, but there's definitely things I tell people to track from day one and don't change anything, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, let's not get into that. I don't want to scare people away.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, can I ask you something real quick? If this show has helped you out in any way, if you've gotten any value, clarity, or even just one gut check moment that's made you a better man, husband, or father, would you take 60 seconds and leave us an honest rating or review? And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a drop. And if you really want to pay it forward, share this episode with a friend. Why? Because we know that there are millions of men out there silently struggling in their marriage, in their health, and in their mindset. Men who maybe were where you were just a few steps ago, feeling tired, stuck, and searching for answers. Finding this podcast might be the thing that changes everything for them. So thank you for being part of this movement and for helping more men become the husbands and fathers their families so desperately need. Now let's get back to the show. So listen, a guy might be listening to this and might get it all dialed in, right? Which is great. Why? Like from a husband fatherhood perspective, why does all this matter, and how does it, in your experience, how does it affect how you show up as a partner, as a husband, as a father, and how does it affect how you show up in your career?
I think we touched on some of this already when we think about home life and what your role is as a dad. Like to me, I always say, I'm the protector, I'm a role model. Like I want to keep my family safe. I'm a provider. I'm all those things. And even more so in that my wife is at home. We homeschool our kids. So like it's all on me, so to speak. Right. So I'm always looking for multiple sources of income and how do I not get sick? How do I stay healthy? And to me, that's what it comes down to. It's like, I got to be strong, capable. I want to live a long time. I want to be able to show up for them, play with my kids, show up for my wife in all the ways. And that's what it comes down to. I mean, we've talked about it already, Mitchell, right? Like the energy you get at the workplace because you work out, the ability to not be starving and low of energy. It affects testosterone. And we know that alone has a massive influence as a male on your relationships and how you feel and your mood, irritability, and so on. So I think it's as simple as that. But obviously it's going to depend on everybody's situation.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, I was saying this a few episodes ago, but the excuse I hear from a lot of guys is like, well, I don't have energy to work out, right? It's like, well, maybe it's actually the opposite. Maybe you don't have energy because you're not working out, because exercise is a good generating tool. It's like it generates more energy. And so if you could just get off that wheel for a second and like try it, you're going to find, like I got off of a call this morning with a client. And I got him on a program and a new nutrition plan. And he's like, bro, I'm up at 5 and I'm training. I'm home by 6:30. I'm like helping my wife with the laundry and making snacks and packing lunches and get the kids out. He's like a farmer. He's like, I work the fields all day. I come home. He's like, I still got energy. He's like, I've never had more energy in my life. And I've never burned more energy in my life. And I've never gotten up as early in my life. He's like, bro, like the 3 months ago,
I would have said this isn't possible. So it's like this, the irony of it, right? And people make that excuse. It's like, well, I don't have energy. I'm like, well, that's because you need to exercise to get that energy, which is kind of funny, right? It's counterintuitive, but that's what I've seen. Have you seen that as well?
It feeds on itself. It's called like upward spiraling, right? One thing leads to another. I used to be the guy that would be exhausted by like 3:30 p.m. at work, and then come home and just want to laze out, watch Netflix, eat. Like now you want to eat, right? Because you need that energy or the candy or what. Like I ate a lot of candy back in the day. And you're right. It just feeds on itself. If you can work out, especially in the morning, like we talked about, but you don't have to, right? You just feel like, okay, I got this. And then you're also physically strong because you've been lifting these massive weights in the gym. So when you come home and need to help the wife out or do some chores or something outside and, go fix something, it feels easy. You're just like light on your feet, you're young. You're young, man. It's great.
Yeah. Longevity, like health span. I mean, it increases your health span. We talk so much about lifespan, it's like, dude, you got to age well. You got to have a long lifespan. There's no point in being alive, 70 years old, but if you're bedridden or you can't move or you breaking everything all the time because your bones are so brittle and whatever, it's like you need to age well. If you want to play with your grandkids, you want to walk your daughter down the aisle, all these different things. It's like you got to think long term, the long move, right? Which is a great segue to my next question. If a guy was listening today and he's like, Philip, Mitchell, I get it. I want to do this. Tomorrow I'm going to start. What's one of the first things? We talk a lot about ROI, return on investment. What's maybe a couple of the first things that he should be doing to get the maximum return on his investment of his time and energy if he's going to start this journey?
I think we've covered them already, and that is track the thing that is the biggest problem for you, which for a lot of guys, they're not eating enough protein or they're not training or something like that. And then they've got to do the thing, but the one thing, I think this goes full circle to how we open this conversation. Don't come up with your 10-point fitness plan where you're going to improve your sleep and your supplements and your, your everything. Pick one thing. And by the way, it might be sleep. And you know it. Like if you're listening, you kind of know it. You don't even have to track your sleep to know you don't get enough sleep or that it's, poor sleep. Some things like protein, you may not know exactly. So pick the one thing. I call it the constraint theory, right? It's like the biggest bottleneck, the one thing. Could be sleep. Could be that you don't exercise, you don't train. It could be your step count. I've had guys who were doing everything else, but they were sitting all day. And then they upped their step count by a couple thousand a day. And their resting heart rate came down and they all of a sudden had more energy, and they had better health markers. So track the one thing and then you can work on that.
I love it.
That's it.
My one thing was peanut butter, bro.
You got it. You got it licked. Now you got to move to the next thing.
I will move to the next thing.
Yeah, good. Exactly.
Love it, dude. Well, hey, thanks for taking this time today. You have lots of free stuff. What is one gift that you could give to our listeners today I want to connect my guys with you? What's something that they can grab today that they can implement on and that they could use as sort of a way to learn more about you and your work?
Yeah, since everybody wants to lose fat, I'm gonna share my 14-day rapid start fat loss plan. Okay. So it's witsandweights.com/fat loss. witsandweights.com/fat loss. And it does what we did here today. It breaks it down really simple, gives you a couple things to start, track them for a week or two, and you'll know where you need to go from there.
Love it. 14-day rapid start fat loss guide. witsandweights.com/fat loss. I'm going to put that link in the show notes. That'd be great. So go check that out if you are looking to lose the fat or you want, a great summary of everything we talked about today. Listen, Philip, this has been a great conversation and I want to point my listeners to you. So tell me and tell them where's the best place to find you to get connected with you or to get more of your information.
Yeah, I would check out the podcast, Wits and Weights. You're already listening to Dad Nation, so go check out Wits and Weights. If you want to go online, go to witsandweights.com and find all my other stuff, including more free stuff, and we can get connected that way.
Yeah, and you've been doing it a little bit, over 500 episodes. A little bit. Downloads. Yeah. I got 87, bro, at the time of this recording. So when you hear someone having 500, you're like, oh my goodness, that's incredible.
Yeah, I know, guys. I have like thousands, right? So we're all like chasing. We're all chasing the next
there's
part
always
of the
a
mountain.
next
Yeah.
level. Yeah, I love it. Dude, thank you so much for your time today, Philip. This has been so good, and just what a great high level and refreshing conversation, man, about just the different areas that we can dial in as men, husbands, and fathers. So thanks for being on the show, man, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you for the time and having me.
Thank you for tuning into the Dad Nation podcast today. Listen, if today's conversation challenged you, if it encouraged you or helped you level up in any area of your life, would you do me a favor? Take 60 seconds to rate and review the show on whatever platform you're listening on. This helps us reach more men who need to hear this message. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Dad Nation YouTube channel, where you're going to find full episodes, clips, and exclusive content designed to help you win at home just like you do at work. All right, remember, your family does not need perfection. They need your presence. Your leadership matters. So keep showing up, keep leveling up, and never forget, when the dad gets better, the whole family wins. We'll see you next time.